Thank you everyone, and welcome to our presentation. We do really appreciate your time, and we have tried to be as concise as possible and as informative as possible. So we appreciate your time. Today's presentation is about humanizing AI and providing information on AI-augmented pedagogy in higher education with a case study, which is part of an ongoing research of the International Sports Management Program, for which we are going to speak in a second. What is the agenda today? I will hand over to Oscar.
So just to further give a background, I'm a CODE fellow myself, and one of the opportunities I have is to draw from the rich expertise within the CODE fellows and the resources there, and also because I'm at the University of London, I have an opportunity to incorporate that in what we call the evidence-based teaching approach. We're using this idea so that we can, get interventions going and get an opportunity to, situate them into some robust, at least some more structured research. So today we'd like to take you through how we've been engaging with, the literature. We would like to talk to you about, the methodologies that we've used, how we analyze the data on the AI intervention with the undergraduate laws program, and some findings, and then trying to get you to think with us as to how we're trying to incorporate that into the International Sports Management program. Thank you. Next slide, Georgi.
Thank you, Oscar. Now, the introduction. So where it sits AI in education. So there are very often three perspectives. And in these three perspectives, we're going to start firstly with Bloom's the two sigma problem, where the personalized learning always brings higher and better educational rates, and is proven in Bloom's articles to a certain level that the two sigma effect is possibly one of the best forms of education, where almost every student can have a student and have one-to-one conversations and personalized teaching and learning activities. So in AI literature review is critically explore the perspective that AI can be one of the solutions to this perspective. It also goes in hand with the economical correlation, where AI may be able to bring the gap and help learners and tutors as a tool which will help students bridge this gap and achieve greater results. So this is a cost-effective alternative, which is often related to the literature review. And lastly, the AI as an informative tool in the hands of the tutors, educators, and universities and educational institutions. However, what we're going to speak about in this presentation is the AI in the context of our ongoing research, which have also taken account and part of the research which has gone through the law program. And this is what you're going to see now. The next slide will be part of this. And we're going to start with the concept of AI-augmented pedagogy, which now Oscar will be very helpful with.
Yes, as you may agree, there is a contest about what we mean by AI-augmented pedagogy. But simply stated, it's really just this idea of the strategic integration of artificial intelligence tools within teaching methods to enhance learning experiences. So the advantages has already been mentioned. When we delve into the literature, we see a lot of indications around personalized learning, immediate and continuous feedback, increased accessibility, and we talk about the operational cost, the the possibility that we could scale up personalized learning and the benefits to a wider population. However, there are anxieties around, the literature is indicating some anxieties around, the lack of contextual adaptability, limitations in social emotional engagement, and also the ethical issues. Just to mention that this study is also part of our work around decolonization. So we are concerned about, the implications, and the ethical issues, and what that would mean to the learning of our students. Georgie, the next slide, please. So if you have to think, so one of the ideas that we are entertaining here is this idea of most of the pedagogies that we evoke in our in Western traditions of teaching and learning around what we call relational pedagogies. And these usually will be centered with the emphasis of linear, structured instruction. It's what we're familiar with, primarily online education, which is, driven in that way, very outcome oriented, prioritizing efficiency and interaction, and limited adaptability to context and culture, and minimal emphasis on socioeconomic engagement. Now, that is students respond to that, and we're able to measure outcome. And that seems, if you think of this analogy of maybe a garden which is in a greenhouse, then one greenhouse has this kind of rational pedagogies. And then the question you're asking, in which greenhouse is AI going to, augmented AI pedagogy is going to thrive? Is it in that rational pedagogies, or is it in incorporating, not purely, but incorporating this idea of relational pedagogies, which are centered on human relations, which are context sensitive? They allow for adaptable teaching. They emphasize the human skill and ability to bring about emotional engagement, collaboration, and community-driven learning, and also a possibility of having AI as a tool, but not as the only tool, but as an incorporated tool. So you have these two greenhouses, and then you ask yourself the question, what would happen in the two? In what place would we have a future where there's a collaboration between AI and the human, or in which greenhouse would you have a future where AI possibly, it takes over? We like to argue that we need this envelope of humanistic relational pedagogies. And in our program at the University of London International Sports Management Program, we are beginning to incorporate this idea of Ubuntugogy. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. Next slide, Georgie.
Now, this is one of the prime examples in the application of Ubuntuology in higher education. So as you can see on this photo, there are tutors in the face of Oscar, who is the program director of the ISM program, and myself. Everyone else is a student. And most of those people that you're seeing are Olympians. Some of them are, for example, Sanjeeva Sain is the high performance director for the whole of India. Next to him, so this is Xenia Samar, which is from the right-hand side next to me, the lady I think in the pink costume. Apologies, I'm colorblind, so it's a bit difficult with the colors. All of those are students with whom we have had conversations during our monthly wrap-up sessions. With all of them, we have built connections. We have understood what they're doing, what kind of social activities, and how they help the communities. And inspired by their personal journeys and personal causes for doing good, we developed the Ubuntu Champions for Change Award. This award brought us all to the Paris 2024 Olympic Games, where they received the awards. One of the best examples of this personal and relational approach was the example with one of the students who has given us permission to talk about that. And soon, actually, we're going to have a podcast with him in his challenges with depression in elite sports. So he's one of the most famous open water swimmers, and he had difficulties with depression and suicidal thoughts. And during these wrap-up sessions, this topic was explored, and basically he confirmed that we have saved his life. And we can't highlight more than this how important the relational and Ubuntu approach in teaching is, especially within our case study. And what we can say here on top of what I just said is we have had tremendous success. For example, Sanjeeva Singh, who was the high-performing director for the whole of India, has managed through the program to get a sustainable sponsoring for the Federation of Archery, which again highlights the importance of our relation and Ubuntu Goji approach in teaching, which enhances the AI. And I think this is pretty much summarizes what I just wanted to
Yes.
say. So Oscar, probably you can continue from this.
Yes. Yeah. So Georgie, if I can just continue there. So from this application, I then step back and then try to sort of like define for you what Ubuntu Goji is all about. So it is a pedagogy that is relational. It's a pedagogy that is based on the Southern African philosophy, which was promoted by Desmond Tutu and Mandela, which says, I am because we are. Now, if you take that and you look at the picture in front of you there, our program is an online distance learning program, which had minimum, which was structured not to have minimum, which was structured to have minimum interaction between the students. Now, we believe AI would have been an easy solution, but would have AI allowed, hadn't we implemented our monthly wrap-up sessions, to create this personal reach out that says, without you, my students, I am nothing. I do not exist. My existence is connected to your existence. But your existence has got stories. You have stories of being an Olympian. You have stories of using sport to make a difference in your community. We want to celebrate that. We want to acknowledge that. We want to incorporate that in your assignments as much as possible. Can you look within your community so that you can be part of the solutions, but share that story with us? So in that process, we theorize that we are building these relationships. We're building this emotional, intelligence, context-specific, opportunities for students to relate their stories. And we are theorizing that if AI then continues to do what it's good at, which we've already mentioned, the human tutors, myself, Georgie, and the others, will continue to do what we are able to do, which is really to build that humanistic connection. So how far has it gone? Well, we came to our students and said, we are not the super lecturer that has all the solutions. There's something we can learn from you. There's something you can help us with. So we're creating these communities of learning where the gentleman there with a bow and arrow there is Sanjiba. He has used sport to help disadvantaged, disabled children in India, taking them to Paralympics, and he is ready to connect us with India and give us that extra opportunity to interact with his space. Yasu, coming with suicidal thoughts, going as far as the hospital, is now a mental health coach using a sport or open water sport to do his work. And he has requested us, because we believe of the humanity that we've provided, he has requested us to actually become part of, in the University of London, to identify with him that his jerseys would have our logo on it. That's how proud he's been. So using thank you, Georgie. So using this approach, we are trying to understand what would be our guard, what would be our line of defense, so that the future is collaboration with AI, and we would try to understand what that would be. Next slide, Georgie.
Yeah. Okay.
So in our attempt to understand this, we are working with two methodologies. We're using program theory. This idea of program theory is that it helps us to identify what kind of contextual theories we have within our curriculum. Why do we have monthly wrap-up sessions which are alive with our students? Why do we have coffee time? We have an intervention where students just come in and meet us online, and we just discuss about everything and anything that comes to mind, and they can interact with other students as well. What is our reasoning behind that? Now, program theory is that kind of theory that helps us to actually identify some theories that sit behind our interventions within our program. Now, action research, as you may be aware, allows us to define the issues, to structure our questions, and to, in a very short space of time, to go to our students, collect the data, reflect on it, do some analysis, and be able to go back to make the intervention on our program. Next slide, Georgie.
Right. So I think I'm here, Oscar. Thank you. So the results, we have been able to analyze data from two different programs, and what we see is that AI 100% helps students, and there has been almost no even one comment that AI was not able to help them in some way. Of course, there were substantial comments on errors and the number of attempts and prompts for AI feedback and AI answers, but overall, AI was extremely helpful to students. 90% of the students were positive about the help they received from AI, because it was a tool which can navigate them quite easily among all the materials and get them easy answers to their questions. However, what we saw is that between 40 to 60% of the students mentioned that human interaction is vital for them, which again reminds us that there is anxiety among them that AI may replace the human interaction, which we believe is highlighted with the economical circumstances and possibility that AI might replace not only educators but also many other sectors and jobs among everything else. So we have significant data that AI is irreplaceable tool in feedback, in answering 24/7 questions to students. However, not at the expense of the emotional report and emotional connection and motivational factors that they experience during the wrap-up sessions. I would just quote one of the feedbacks we received, and this is that I honestly was surprised, but overall, this is a direct quote, which reads, I admit that for the last 6 months, the best thing in my life was the wrap-up sessions that we had at the ISM program. So apparently for one of the students, and I believe that this was one specific student, the best thing in their life for almost half a year was the monthly catch-up that we had for the sake of summarizing the topics and speaking just informal talks with like-minded individuals. The findings. One of the challenges in AI are, of course, that when it comes to feedback in the ISM program, we do the blind marking. What we have found out is that currently there are tutors who would use, for example, AI sometimes for feedback. But if both tutors are using AI for feedback, what we see is that the student receives similar feedback, which is very inappropriate. For that sake, we believe that feedback for student coursework is at the moment unsatisfactory when it comes to AI. And for that reason, at that moment, we are focusing exclusively on the help AI which could provide to students. The challenges and limitations in that regard are in terms of the setup of the AI for each program, which is substantial, and the errors that come out of the prompts from the students. And lastly, when it comes to the challenges and limitations, is the profound difference for the case study that we are now discussing. And this is because the profile, which is a significant factor in this study, of profile of our students is really different from the rest of the programs, since most of the students that we have are current athletes, Olympians, former world champions, or senior professionals and leaders in the field of sport with higher expectations in teaching, administration, and overall learning and teaching experience. For that sake, we cannot generalize whether this will be on a larger scale applicable. However, for the ISM program, the effect is that human interaction is equivalent to the larger, the greater the satisfaction levels among the students. And for the conclusion, Oscar, I would like to invite you to start, but I think I said most of
Would you be as brief as possible, just to allow some time for at least one question, because we're going to run out of time. Thank you.
Okay. So some final takeaways. So where we started was our experience with the undergraduate laws programs and how an AI tutor was used and all the benefits that came out of it and some of the drawbacks that we identified, and in trying to respond within the relational pedagogies. So we believe strongly that striving to have a relational pedagogical framework is key. And this is an example of where we're bringing in the Ubuntu. The Ubuntu identifies the other human. In this case, this other human is an Olympian. Some of these Olympians are retiring, so their fame is going down with their disappearing athleticism. So when they are able to come to share their story, when we're able to appreciate them, to say, those that are using their sport to make a difference, they are able to incorporate that within our community of learning, share their stories. We are enhancing their humanity. And that is something which, doesn't take away from what the AI is able to do in terms of its efficiency, but it brings in a place where us as human tutors, we are able to, to be clear about what our contribution will be. So, so the future for us is really to engage in a much more structured, much more robust study to help us see how AI and human collaboration can pan out in the future using action research and program theory within our interventions in the curriculum. Thank you very much for your hearing.